Hi, and welcome back to Extreme Trends. Animals, love them or hate them, you can't deny that there are some unbelievably adorable critters out there. With big eyes, fluffy skin, and a look that just says cuddle me, it can be hard to resist the temptation to approach them. And sometimes, just by stroking them, you can get much more than you bargained for. These are the kind of animals that you want to steer clear of, if you value your life, that is. As we begin, quickly tap the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you don't miss any amazing content. Let's take a look at 10 cute animals that can actually kill you. Number 10. Cassowary. A cassowary is the second heaviest living bird on the planet. While it may look as pleasant as an ostrich and as fluffy as a couch cushion, this is one bird that you wouldn't want to spot. The cassowary lives on a diet of fruit and other plants, so you don't have to worry about it eating you if you ever come across it in the tropical islands of New Guinea. But that doesn't mean it isn't deadly. These birds are very protective of their habitats and won't hesitate to put you in your place if they feel threatened. Wing flapping and a loud squawk is the least of your worries. There are reports of fatal injuries inflicted on humans who have got on the bad side of a cassowary, as well as dogs and cats who got too close. In World War II, American and Australian troops stationed in the area soon learned to steer clear of the animals and, above all, not to feed them. A 2003 study showed that at least 150 people have lost their lives at the wings of these peckers. Number 9. Slow lorisis. These wide-eyed, long-limbed fluffballs look like they're just begging for a cuddle. Forget puppy dog eyes, you've got no chance with these little ones looking up at you. No matter how adorable they look, don't take the bait. You'll lose more than your pride with these guys. The slow lorises live in Southeast Asia and can often be found hanging from trees in jungle areas. With arms as long as their legs, they're a treat to look at, but they have one trick up their sleeve that you don't want to see. As well as a pincer-like grip that would draw blood, they have a toxic bite. It's unusual for mammals to have this, but that's what makes this animal so special. The toxin comes from a gland on their arms, and as they lick, it is transferred to their mouth. The mix of the toxin with saliva makes for a deadly secretion. While they prefer a diet of small animals and vegetation, they are fiercely protective of their young and will stop at nothing to keep them safe. Think of them as the sloth's long-lost cousin that you want to keep well and truly lost. Number 8. Chimpanzee. Chimpanzees are incredibly intelligent and are our closest living relative, sharing 98% of our genetic DNA. Like humans, they tend to prefer the company of others rather than solitude, although they take it one step further than we do, living in communities of up to 50. Out of that large number, one chimp rules all: the alpha male. The rest of the community stick to a strict hierarchy imposed and fall in line. Despite what you may think, it's not all cuddles and puzzle solving like we see in documentaries. Chimpanzees can be extremely aggressive, not only towards human invaders but towards members of their own communities. The males have been known to plan and execute attacks on other males, causing serious damage to each other, which sometimes proves fatal. A host of human victims have turned up over the years too. One of the most famous being Charla Nash, who was viciously mauled by her friend's chimpanzee, Travis. While she survived, she was blinded, had her hands severed, and her ears pulled off during the attack. Needless to say, Travis was shot dead by police when they arrived at the scene. Number 7. Puss caterpillar. The Megalope opicularis has many names: flannel moth, asp, Italian asp, but is commonly known as the puss caterpillar. The inch-long larva is coated in beautiful fur, making it look more like a cat than an insect. The exact color of the bug varies. Sometimes they're gray, sometimes they're beige, but no matter their color, there's one thing certain regardless of what they look like. Each tiny caterpillar has venomous spines. If you're unlucky enough to touch one, then you'll get a hemorrhagic popular eruption with severe radiating pain. That's a really nasty, painful rash to you and I. Depending on the level of exposure, the rash can stay local or quickly spread. That's not the only thing you can expect either. You can also expect blisters, chest pains, numbness, nausea, and splitting headaches. Victims have described the pain as similar in intensity to a broken limb or blunt force trauma. Number 6. Squirrel. A squirrel, I hear you cry. How can this lovely little nut nibbler possibly deserve a place on this list? And that's how they lure you in. But beware, they have been known to attack. There are a variety of squirrels the world over. Some are red and some are gray. Some even fly. The rodents can be a handful, even though they're pint-sized. Earlier this year, residents of Brooklyn, New York were terrorized by an unusually aggressive type of squirrel that attacked 5 innocent people while they enjoyed the summer heat at a local park. The New York City Department of Health and Hygiene dubbed the incident Squirrelgate and had this to say on the subject. Squirrels are rarely infected with rabies. However, based on the unusual behavior, the health department is acting under the assumption that the animal is rabid. Despite their best efforts, the offending rodent was never found. In other cases beside this one, it's not uncommon for the small animals to chase humans when they feel they have overstayed their welcome in their habitats. That's food for thought. Number 5. Cone snails. Cone snails is the common name of the much larger group of predatory sea snails. You may think that the snail can hardly be predatory. After all, they're one of the slowest things on the planet. Cone snails use a harpoon-like structure called a radula tooth to catch its prey. When getting dinner, this is fine, but as humans are often attracted to brightly colored shells of these mollusks, it poses a surprising risk to us. If the snail feels threatened, it may launch its harpoon, which can penetrate the skin. In the cases of smaller snails, this can be similar to the effect of a bee sting, but in the cases of much larger species, a sting can have fatal consequences. One of the biggest snails is dubbed the cigarette snail, as it's believed that when a person is stung by one, they will only have enough time to smoke a cigarette before reaching the pearly gates. Next time you're snorkeling and see something pretty, don't touch it! Just look. Number 4. Wolverines. No, we're not about to talk to you through X-Men here, but the land-dwelling mammal otherwise known as the skunk bear. At first glance, this animal looks like a cuddly little fellow, but it has a reputation for being one of the fiercest things you can come across in the Northern Hemisphere. It is a solitary animal with the documented ability to eviscerate things much larger than itself. In one report, it was stated that a wolverine killed an adult polar bear. Considering the size difference between the two, that's some pretty impressive work. Their hiss and shrill scream is enough to send anyone running, and while there may be some of you that would love to meet Hugh Jackman, this is one Wolverine that you're better off avoiding. If you want to live a long and happy life, that is. The choice is yours. Number 3. Golden arrow frog. Perhaps the most famous wolf in sheep's clothing on this list, the golden arrow frog is dainty, delicate, and cartoon-like. Despite its beauty and agility, it's pure poison. Indigenous to the Pacific coast of Colombia, this amphibian typically lives in groups of 5 or 6, so beware. If you see one, there are more nearby. The skin of the frog is coated in an alkaloid toxin. If touched by a human, the poison stops the nerves from sending impulses, making the muscles inactive, often leading to heart failure. The arrow frog is regularly used by indigenous cultures such as the Choco-Embera. By heating the frogs over a fire, they're able to extract the beads of poison that they expel. They then use the poison to make darts, which they use to hunt their prey. It's one of the most important tools in their culture, maintaining its deadly effect for up to 2 years. Number 2. Mice. We all know Mickey and Minnie Mouse, the children of Disney. Even the helpful little mice in Cinderella look friendly and cute, happily nibbling away on cheese. However, the reality is a little different. While the common mouse may present itself as little more than an annoyance in a property, it can harbor and spread a host of awful diseases, including worms and salmonella. While mice themselves have not been known to contribute to the spread of the bubonic plague, they have a lot to answer for. It's thought that rodents are responsible for more deaths over the last 1,000 years than all the wars put together. That's an enormous body count. So while you may feel awful about laying that mousetrap down, don't. You're keeping you and your family safe from a host of terrible bacteria that can be transmitted through its feces, urine, blood, and much more. Bless their whiskers, but they just aren't something you want as a house guest. Put up your no vaccine sign and call pest control. Number 1. Moose. Last but not least, the moose, otherwise known as an elk. Not only are these guys enormous and incredibly lean, but the males have grand antlers. While the population is declining, they're still around, so beware. The males often fight each other for the attention of females during mating season, which can look quite terrifying to the untrained eye. God forbid you ever attract the unwanted attention of an elk, because you wouldn't stand a chance. When people think of these majestic creatures, they usually picture them as gentle giants. For the most part, this is true, but they have been known to attack humans, especially if they are hungry. In October of this year, hikers found an injured woman on a Summit County trail after she was charged by a female elk protecting her young. It may not happen often, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen at all. Can you think of any other animals that have a bite to match their bark? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and if you can't get enough of extreme trends, then check out these 2 videos on the screen. With that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you in the next video. And deadly. These birds are very protective of their habitats and won't hesitate to put you in your place if they feel threatened. Wing flapping and a loud squawk is the least of your worries. There are reports of fatal injuries inflicted on humans who have got on the bad side of the cassowary, as well as dogs and cats who got too close. In World War II, these are the kind of animals that you want to steer clear of, if you value your life, that is. As we begin, quickly tap the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you don't miss any amazing content. Let's take a look at 10 cute animals that can actually kill you. Number 10. Cassowary. A cassowary is the second heaviest living bird on the planet. While it may look as pleasant as an ostrich and as fluffy as a couch cushion, this is one bird that you wouldn't want to spot. The cassowary lives on a diet of fruit and other plants, so you don't have to worry about it eating you if you ever come across it in the tropical islands of New Guinea. But that doesn't mean it is. Hi, and welcome back to Extreme Trends. Animals, love them or hate them, you can't deny that there are some unbelievably adorable critters out there. With big eyes, fluffy skin, and a look that just says cuddle me, it can be hard to resist the temptation to approach them. And sometimes, just by stroking them, you can get much more than you bargained for. American and Australian troops stationed in the area soon learned to steer clear of the animals and, above all, not to feed them. A 2003 study showed that at least 150 people have lost their lives at the wings of these peckers. Number 9. Slow lorises. These wide-eyed, long-lived